Hi everybody, I'm Cassandra. Welcome to Bombyx. Thanks for being here tonight. Yeah, you could clap, go for it. Thanks. So I'm really excited for this particular workshop. This is building on some of the other offerings that we have already done and will have in the future, not in your college like 101, 201, 301 sort of way, but more sort of expanding our collective knowledge of the resources that are out there to support the incredible projects that you all are developing. A couple of functional notes. We have sweet and savory snacks over here, so please help yourself. What looks like egg salad is tofu salad, and it's vegan, so it should tick all the dietary boxes. We also will be recording tonight's workshop, and we can share that file with you within a couple of days. We will also share the PowerPoint presentation. So everything that you see on stage, we will send to you in a follow-up email. And if you registered, we have your email. And if you did not register, see Dalila at the back. Use your best penmanship so we don't have to, do an interpretive dance to figure out what your name is, and then we'll follow up with you. And one other important thing, the restrooms are through that door and down the hall. They're a little farther than you think they should be, but they really and truly do exist. And if you are looking for the men's room, it's all the way at the end. All the way at the end. But you'll get there. So the flow for this evening is that we're going to begin with a presentation from NEFA. We're going to follow that with a presentation about CreativeGround, and then our folks from Northampton Open Media are going to share some information about the digital navigation program that they have, because the tech for this might be a little overwhelming for some of you, and so we want to make sure that we have some resources to help you do all the things that you're going to learn about over the course of the evening. That's the flow. There'll be plenty of time for questions and answers as we go along. There's no such thing as a bad question, so everything is fair game. Please feel free to ask. The likelihood is that somebody else is also wondering the same thing that you are. So there we go. It's going to be great, and I'm pleased to welcome to the stage Adrian Petrillo from New England Foundation for the Arts.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. So it's a pleasure to be here. I am Adrian Petrillo. I'm the Senior Program Director for Regional Grants at the New England Foundation for the Arts, or NEFA, as we are known. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about who NEFA is, because maybe you've heard of us. We're also a little mysterious, a little complicated. So we're going to let you in on who we are. Then we're going to talk about one of the grant programs that NEFA offers. We do have others, but we're going to focus in on one that may be the most relevant to folks here. And so we'll run through that, and as Cassandra said, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or shout them out throughout the presentation. We're happy to address things along the way. Who here has at least heard of NEFA? Okay, that's pretty good. So NEFA invests in artists and communities and fosters equitable access to the arts, enriching the cultural landscape in New England and the nation. So we were founded in 1976, so we are turning 50 next year. And we are a regional arts organization. What does that mean? No one really knows. No. So we are a nonprofit. So despite our name, which is a little confusing, we are not a foundation in the sense that we are have a bunch of money sitting in a bank somewhere that we give away. We are a 501c3 organization, which means we have to raise all the funding that we give out or for the services that we provide. So we are a regional arts organization, which is a designation. We are one of 6 throughout the whole United States. We are obviously serving the New England region and the 6 states within New England. There are other RAOs, as they are called, in other parts of the country. To just give you a sense of kind of our scale, we generally have a budget of about $11 million. And that translates to, like last year, we gave just over $6 million in grants to artists and organizations across the US. So the other piece that's a little confusing is that we don't just work in New England. The staff here this evening, we are all folks who work directly on our New England-based programs, but we are actually known nationally as well, particularly for our work in dance and theater, and we also do some international work. So we also do some work just in Massachusetts. So we work on a statewide basis, a regional basis, and a national basis. And so with that grant making, we gave out 569 grants last year. And those ranged from $700 to $120,000. So again, it really depends on the program. There's a lot of different opportunities, but I just wanted to give you a sense of kind of the diversity of the organization and the work that we do. So this is my attempt at a graphic. Yes. So the question was, what percentage of our grants go to visual arts versus performing arts? And I will say the majority of our grants are for performing arts. Most of our visual arts grant making is in our public art program, which does serve Massachusetts. So if you are interested in making art that is in the public realm, we do have opportunities for you there. And then Dee is going to talk later about CreativeGround, which is an opportunity for artists of all disciplines. So this was my attempt to give you a visual representation of how NEFA fits into some of the other agencies that may be out there. So the National Endowment for the Arts, that is our federal agency that supports the arts in this country. We work closely with them. We receive funding from them, and then we redistribute it in New England. But we are very much in partnership with the NEA. And then in addition, we work with the 6 state arts agencies in New England. So those are all listed up there, like Mass Cultural Council. I have to turn this way. And again, we work with them. They distribute funding to us that we redistribute in the region, but we also work closely in partnership, particularly when Dee talks about CreativeGround. That's very much done in partnership with the state arts agencies. The state arts agencies also receive funding from the NEA. So they receive funding from the NEA that they redistribute on a statewide basis. So we're getting it for regional distribution, they're getting it for state distribution, and then NEFA and the state agencies work closely together as well. So this is a list of all of our grant programs at NEFA. So we do have many different opportunities. Tonight we're going to focus really on the NEST program, or New England States Touring. We do love an acronym at NEFA and in the arts. So the NEST program, as well as the Idea Swap and CreativeGround. And then our other programs are in public art, the National Dance Project, National Theater Project, and Center Stage, which is an international program. So we're gonna dive into the NEST program. And Audrey and I are gonna kind of tag team on this.
Do you have the clicker? Oh, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Audrey. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm here to also talk about the New England States Touring Program, which is NEFA's oldest program. It is part of a regional touring initiative upon which the NEA was founded. And the regional arts organizations like NEFA were established to distribute funding throughout the region. So it is a federally funded program. And it has several goals.
Just look at me when you
Yes, I will. I will do. But so the main purpose of the program is to bring local artists from New England around the region to both rural, urban, and suburban centers to allow Americans to experience great art. This grant is designed to really provide meaningful community experiences beyond just your traditional performance. There is a community engagement element, as well as to provide support between both presenters, which we'll talk a little bit about. So folks like Bombyx might be a venue, a nonprofit, a school, a library, a church, someone who gathers and convenes a community and to share our performing artists with that community. So we're hoping the purpose of NEST is to really build those relationships between presenters and artists and communities. So NEST is actually a program that has 2, and at one point had 3 different components. The 2 versions that we have, it very basically explained. So if you are, say, a Massachusetts artist, you could, through the NEST program, have a presenter from any other state besides Massachusetts apply to present you and your work.
In New England.
In New England. Any other state in New England. So New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont, Maine, Connecticut.
Yes.
That's it. Those are the other 5. A presenter in that state can fill out a NEST application to cover up to 60% of your artist fee. So that's just the one-to-one NEST 1. NEST 2 is actually an opportunity that allows your local presenters to sort of advocate on your behalf. That is a program in which, for example, a place like Bombyx could apply with an out-of-state partner to sort of set up a little mini tour for you as a performing artist, so you could perform inside of Massachusetts with a presenter, and then you would also be performing out of state as well. So that's the important piece of NEST 2, is that the in-state touring only really happens if the out-of-state touring happens. Does that make sense? I know it's a little confusing. As I mentioned, NEST grants provide up to 60% of the artist fee and range from $500 to $5,000. If you do have a smaller fee, so under $2,000, your 501c3 nonprofit presenter can apply for the full fee, and that is anything from your base fee, which is what it costs for you to perform, but also travel and accommodations, per diems can also be built into there. You also, to be eligible for NEST, have to be listed as NEST eligible in the CreativeGround directory, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. And we typically have 3 application deadlines each year. This fiscal year, which I think starts in June for NEFA, we only have 2, but they are typically the first business day of August, December, and April. August, December, and April. We didn't change it. August, December, and April. Organizations, so the presenting organizations can submit up to 2 applications each deadline. That could be 1 NEST 1, 1 NEST 2, 2 NEST 1s, or 2 NEST 2s. Doesn't matter. Yeah, so as I mentioned, and as I was talking a little bit about presenters, because this is a federally funded grant, you do need to be a 501c3 nonprofit to apply. And you say, wait a minute, I'm a performing artist, I'm not a 501c3 nonprofit. That's okay. And actually for you, kind of ideal, because your presenting partner that you're working with, when they are a nonprofit, can apply to this, and they will apply for the fee to pay you directly, because frankly, you don't want to try to get paid by the federal government. And that is why it's kind of this, whole trickle-down system. But so any 501c3 nonprofit organization, school, federally recognized tribal government, or other government entity is eligible to apply to present artists through NESTs. And they obviously need to be based in New England. And when you are there presenting and performing, there does have to be a public at least one public performance as part of the engagement. For example, you can't just have an in-school performance and only the students get to see it. So it has to be general and open to the public for at least one of the performances. And you also have to have a sam.gov, I won't go super into this, unique identity ID. That's just something that's required for all entities that receive federal funding. But again, that's the 501c3 nonprofit has to have. You, if you're an artist, do not personally have to have. And you should keep your profile updated in CreativeGround, which again, we'll talk more about, but is important. So some things that NEST doesn't fund, because we do get a lot of questions about these kinds of things. Events that are not open to the public, you can't present an event in your house and ask for NEST funding. Events that take place outside of New England. Again, this is a regionally specific touring program. Fundraisers, so for example, like if you're going to host a gala or something and they're hiring you for that, we wouldn't fund, because the intent is not sort of the connection of artists and community. It would be to raise funds, which we appreciate, can appreciate that people need to do, but is not eligible through this program. And as I mentioned, any sort of in-school activities and programs that are exclusively in schools without a public element. We do not fund student performers, so I think of this as like more traditionally like younger students, but yeah, if it's a college group, is not eligible. Also, this is a big one, self-produced presentations. So if you think about like a traditional theater company or any producing entity, that's not really what this particular grant program is for. There are others in the world, but not this one. And as well as any sort of guest artist. So if you were a symphony, for example, and had a guest conductor, that would not be NEST eligible because it's just like one person coming in to perform with another existing group and is not sort of developing that deep community relationship. And then lastly, if you're getting funding through the National Dance Project or the National Theater Project, because they have other touring grant funds available and you don't need NEST.
And as a reminder, those are other NEFA-based programs.
Yeah.
So we are trying to spread the opportunities throughout our programs. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the funding criteria for the program. So everyone's question about grants is always, well, how do you decide who gets the funding? And I will just say every funder has a different process for this. At NEFA, for us, it's really about the funding criteria that are developed for the programs. And every program has this information publicly available on the website. We are happy to talk applicants through it. But this is what our panel uses when they are making grant decisions. So this is, and all of our grant applications ask the applicants to speak to this. So first and foremost, we are looking for a clear rationale for how the project aligns with the arts programming goals and provides the community with access to excellent artistic and cultural experiences. So this is the place for the organization to talk about the artist. So if you were the artist working with a presenter, this is the place, like, they may need some information from you, but this is where the organization can really share, like, this is why I want to bring the artist to my community, and this is why I'm excited about it. As Audrey said, we are looking to support not only the onstage activities, but also offstage. So we do look for additional activities beyond the performance, which provide opportunities for the artist to meaningfully engage with the community, including cross-sector exchange and collaboration are strongly encouraged. So cross-sector meaning arts and healthcare, arts and environment. It's not a requirement, but we love when we see arts integrating into other sectors. And I will say the additional activities can take a lot of different forms. We're not trying to be prescriptive. It can be a Q&A, it can be a performance talk, it can be a potluck dinner, it can be a class in a school, it can be a class in a senior center. What makes sense for this artist in your community? We are also looking to make sure all community members have access to artistic experiences. So we do ask, what are the community partnerships and strategies to provide access to the arts for all New England communities, especially those that may often experience barriers to participation in arts activities. Those barriers may exist based on age, class, disability, gender, geographic location, and economics. And again, we ask the applicant to speak to what their community is and who they are reaching. And then we are also looking for projects that help provide the artist with resources that support their artistic vision and sustainability as a New England-based artist. So examples of that may include paying the artist adequately. It might also be other resources. Perhaps the organization has the capacity to record and document the work, or help the artist create marketing materials, or speak to their colleagues and advocate for hiring the artist. Yes?
So the question was, would that include a public access station run by a municipality?
Right. So I guess in what sense? Is the public access station the applicant? The public access station, which could be, if they're part of a municipality, that would be fine. They might also be a partner. So if Bombyx is bringing an artist in and they partner with public access to, kind of expand beyond the performance that's happening here, something like that would be great. But I don't know if that speaks to your question. So it would be part of the organization that's presenting and hiring the artist. It sounds like you could be a partner to them. Yes, and absolutely. And that might be how the organization says they are supporting the artist, is by connecting them with the public access station, something
We
like that.
often have like media interviews or sometimes like radio performances included as some of those additional community engagement experiences.
And especially if there's opportunity for the artist to share what was recorded beyond, if they're able to use some of it for their own purposes, that can be great. Yes.
Have we partnered with the Parlor Room Collective, Iron Horse, or Signature Sounds? No, because that's a for-profit
Yeah, I think they're
entity.
mostly for-profits.
So yeah, unfortunately, the stipulations of federal funds, they can only go to 501c3 nonprofits.
Yes. Absolutely,
Yes,
yes.
if they had a nonprofit division, we could absolutely partner with them.
Yeah, that's great questions. So the last two criteria we also are looking for, one is that we have added this is a priority, not a requirement, but we will give priority to projects that provide communities with new cultural experiences. So that may mean presenting an artist who has not been in that community before. It might mean presenting an art form that hasn't been in that community, a different version of that art form. Maybe if the artist has been there before, there's an opportunity to kind of deepen that experience or reach new folks. But we are going to prioritize that. And then lastly, when it is a NEST 2 application, and Audrey spoke about with NEST 2, there are 2 organizations involved. We are looking for both of those organizations to collaborate and partner with each other, as well as the artist, to share knowledge and experience that may deepen the engagement for both the artist, the partner organizations, and their communities. And this may be things like sharing marketing materials, or if sometimes we have a university, they may have a faculty person who can develop some educational materials and then share it with another partner. Sometimes it's just talking about strategies, like this is how we approached it in our community, and this was worked really well for us, and so if you want to try this in your community. But we are looking for some of that collaboration. The applications that best address the funding criteria are the ones most likely to receive funding. Also, the way NEST works is that basically the more or the better you reach these criteria, the more funding you're likely to get. So it is important to note that NEST grants are up to 60% of the artist fee. They do max out at $5,000, but that is up to. There is no guarantee that you will get your full request. We do often do partial funding. The best way to ensure getting your full request is to meet all of the funding criteria.
I think I have NEST eligibility next, which
Talk about that.
again, we'll get more into CreativeGround in a moment. There's also a page on our website. I believe it's like nefa.org/nest artist requirements or something very basic like that. It shouldn't be very difficult to find. But that lists the full criteria. This is just sort of the highlights that you do need to have on your CreativeGround profile in order to be considered NEST eligible. Both presenting organization and artist are required to have a CreativeGround profile that they link in their application. And this sort of serves for our reviewers as a work sample. They might also go to your artist website if that's linked in the application, but the CreativeGround is what's so great about it is that each profile looks the same, so they know exactly where to look for media, where to look for the different services you offer, where to look for sort of a resume of where you've worked. So these are what those requirements really are about. The performance concert reading being listed as an activity or service you provide. You have to have at least one video and one additional photo in your media gallery. There's also a profile photo. If you could have one more, that'd be swell. And 5 or more partners in your I Have Worked With section that you have performed, been presented by, performed for, performed with, worked with in any capacity in the last year, just to sort of show folks, the kind of people you like to work with. And then there is a section that Dee will talk more about that includes touring artist requirements, and specifically we're looking for that fee range so that we can see, what you're asking for. So then perhaps if the presenter applies with a different number, then we can see that. So we do ask for a fee range there. So there's a little box that I'll show you on the next slide that says, check for, I want to be considered for NEST eligibility. Yeah, see there it is. So you have to click this first box. This profile is for a performing artist or an artist group that tours. And then this next box will pop up, and that's the box that you click. This profile should be considered for NEST eligibility. When that happens, an email goes to an inbox that I receive, and they're reviewed on probably about a weekly basis. And sometimes, a lot of folks will click the box but have not filled things out, but so there is some back and forth. And once NEFA staff is able to verify that you have, met all the criteria on that artist requirements page, then you will be marked as NEST eligible. Obviously, we get like a larger uptick of these around grant deadlines, so I always recommend trying to, get that sort of in the process well before you're also collaborating with a presenter on a grant.
Right. I will also just add, it is being reviewed by a human being, Audrey.
Me.
Yeah. So, in this day and age, it's not an automatic thing when you click that box. It's not an AI thing. It is an actual person, which also means that person will follow up with you. Whether if there's something missing or if you're all set, you will hear from us. But it is a person, which also means occasionally it might take more than 30 seconds to get back to you.
What makes an application really successful? This is quite obviously the question that we get the most. As Adrian sort of mentioned, there is, very specific funding criteria that really speaks to what we're looking for with this program. So we would encourage you to read the guidelines carefully. We're always looking for really strong community engagement. That's sometimes a place where particularly first-time applicants will say, we'll have the, artist in the lobby after the show, or we'll have the artist be interviewed in a magazine. And that is wonderful, but we're really looking for something that brings, more than your everyday sort of arts experience. Like if you went to go see Boston Symphony Orchestra at Tanglewood, you could certainly listen about it on the public radio, but you might not get to be in a jam session with artists. That could be really cool. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking for. Specificity is key. We love to know, obviously many of our reviewers may not be familiar with your organization. So, yep, sorry.
Sorry, I was hoping you could go back because I got a little lost with what you were saying in the
Community engagement, just authentic opportunities for you to connect, for artists to connect with audiences. Okay. So just having unique or, you don't have to come up with something super complicated, but just a way that folks can engage with artists meaningfully. Specificity is key. Just remember that our reviewers come from all the New England states, so they may not be familiar with your specific artistry. They may not be familiar with the specific region you're talking about. So being specific in those areas helps. Directly answering the questions that are asked. I don't remember if we're going through the narrative questions in this, but when you see them there in the application, please answer them. I know Adrian was talking about AI and things earlier, but we can tell pretty obviously when things are just sort of ripped from another grant application, and so then those, even if it's really well written, standard mission language, those applications tend to fare not as well. So actually reading the question and answering it fully to the best of your ability is something we encourage. And then obviously collaborating and coordinating with your presenter or artist partners. If you're an artist, making sure a presenter has everything that they need to talk about how wonderful your art is and like what it would mean to bring your art to their community. If you're a presenter, that means, that could mean, especially in a Nest 2 grant, having actual proof that you and this other presenter are talking, whether that's, we're having meetings, we, are sharing marketing materials, whatever it may be. This is an opportunity to build the field and build the region, and so folks are looking for evidence of that when they read the applications.
Yeah, and I will just add, we don't ask trick questions. We really are asking questions. We want to know about your project, and please just answer that question and not what you think we're asking, because we're really just asking the question that is written down. And I will, on a more technical note, you can always look at the narrative questions for an application. Our applications generally don't open until 6 to 8 weeks prior to the deadline, but the narrative questions are always available for a preview. That's the part of the application that takes sort of the most time and effort. So like even if you go right now to NEFA's website, you can see those narrative questions even though the deadline is not until December.
And I'll say, the only other really things that are on the application are like contact and demographic kind of info. And again, that's everything that'd be filled out by a 501c3 presenting organization applying for the NEST grant.
Right. So the other thing to know is the review process. So these applications are reviewed by a group we call NEST advisors. They are not reviewed. We are not the ones making decisions. It is not NEFA staff. We always have outside panels who are reviewing. In the case of NEST, that panel is made up of representatives from each state arts agency. So there are 6 of them. So Mass Cultural Council has a representative on that panel. You are welcome to check in with that person if you know you're applying or part of an application. It cannot be good to just kind of give them a heads up and let them know because they'll be reading it at some point. And we do have those names and contact info available on our website. Following the deadline, applicants are generally notified about 6 to 8 weeks after the deadline. So it takes us a little bit of time. The other thing to note is that all of our grants are paid as a reimbursement. So if you are an organization, the expectation is that the artist does get paid, usually day of show. And so you do have to be prepared to kind of put that money forward. And then once you submit a final report, we will pay a reimbursement to what you have paid out to the artist. The other thing I'll just note in terms of process, and especially if you're new to grants, but maybe even if you've been doing them a long time, it is NEFA's practice that we always offer feedback to any applicant. And I highly recommend folks take us up on that. I actually recommend reaching out even if you have been funded, because oftentimes the reasons why people think they got funded are not the reasons why. So I think if funders offer feedback, always take them up on it. Just have a conversation. It's part of our job. We're happy to do it. And if you didn't get funded, hopefully it's information for future applications to NEFA or maybe even future applications to other funders. So as Audrey mentioned, for this year, we only have 2 deadlines. Normally there are 3. We were not able to have an August 1st deadline due to some issues with the NEA. As you may have heard, there's a lot going on at the federal government level, and that has impacted some of our funding. But we will have a deadline December 1st, and that is for projects that start after February 15th of next year. I will note that grant period is a touch earlier than it normally is. We wanted to try to accommodate for the fact that we're not having an August deadline. Normally, the December deadline will be for projects after March 1st. And then the next deadline is April 1st, and that is for projects after July. So, and then the projects need to occur within a year of the grant period start date. So if you were to apply in December for projects beginning after February, basically anything between February 15th, 26 to February 15th, 27, just a year out. If you're looking really far out, you can just wait, because again, we do have multiple deadlines a year. Just a note that we absolutely do not accept late applications. Everything is on our online portal system, so that system will close at 11:59 p.m. Though I always like to point out, NEFA staff only available 9 to 5. So highly recommend folks submitting before the business day is done, because if you have issues after that, I cannot make any promises. The one other thing we wanted to mention is an event that we do each year. It is called the Idea Swap. It's an annual event for New England-based nonprofit cultural organizations to network and share ideas for performing arts, literary arts, and film projects that are available for presentation in communities. So it's really about projects that are available to tour within the region. This is tied to a different version of NEST that will not be called NEST for much longer, but it is tied to a different grant program at NEFA. The key difference being it does support artists from outside of New England. So many cultural organizations come to this event in order to try to find partners for projects that may feature artists. You know, they may want to bring in Silk Road Ensemble or
International
artists or Alvin Ailey Dance. This is an opportunity for them to do that, although there are New England artists there as well. If you are a touring artist and you just kind of want to see who's out there or get a sense of the presenting landscape, and you're open to like just networking and learning, then Idea Swap can be a great opportunity for that. It is a one-day event. This year it's November 6th, and we hold that at Mechanics Hall in Worcester. There's usually about 150 to 200 people there. And that is the conclusion of our grant program.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you pop to the next slide, that is all of our contact info. Oh, and we have loads of questions, which I will get to. I'll just mention that our program coordinator, Sajan, who goes by Say, is not here, but is also helpful and sort of particularly in that grant portal space. So she's great for that. Yes? No, it's okay.
If you are a fiscally sponsored organization, do you qualify as a nonprofit? And can you apply?
Yeah, so the question is whether you can apply as a fiscally sponsored organization. Unfortunately for this program, you cannot. It is another stipulation of the federal funding. We cannot funnel funds through fiscal agents. That is not necessarily true of other NEFA programs.
There was another question? Yeah.
Asking about Idea Swap, is this a place where artists showcase, or is it just merely networking, or who's set up, what's the structure of that?
Yeah, so it's not really an artist showcase. It's a day of regional convening. So we typically have some general programming, as Adrian alluded to. Our regional, national, and international touring program is undergoing some guideline revisions. So there will be like a session on that. There's also usually like a panel discussion of some kind about things happening in the industry. And then the vast majority of the day is project presentations. So sometimes artists are involved with those, but because it's about presenters finding other presenting organizations to partner with, frequently those are given by presenters. So folks like Cassandra at Bombyx, saying, you know, I really want to bring this artist. Here's what it's going to cost. Here's what, you know, here's a sample of the work. You know, we would love, sometimes we, get lucky and get like a live performance, but frequently because these are mostly artists from outside the region, typically it's just a video clip sample.
Yes.
So I just want some clarity on how I fit into the scenario. I wrote, I'm an actor, and I wrote a one-woman show. So, and at least one or two of my performances I'm planning to have here at Bombyx and perhaps in 33 Holly Street. So, how do I fit here?
Are you performing the show, or is somebody else like producing? Okay, so you would be the artist in this scenario. So assuming you want to tour this show.
And the scenario is, if you didn't hear, is a one-woman show written and will be performed here at Bombyx in the future.
Right. So let's say you want to take this on the road, and on the road could mean like Brattleboro. I mean, it's New England. It's not hard to cross state lines, right? So if you want to move it around, so that's where Nest is an opportunity, and what you're looking for is the nonprofit presenter who can host you. And that's where, as we're saying, Idea Swap, if you're open to just learning and networking, and you just want to kind of have a chance to start meeting people, see who's out there, that's a way to do it in person. The other amazing resource we have is CreativeGround, and I'm sure Dee's going to show some of the ways you can identify potential partners. Once you have that partner, they can apply for the grant to pay you, and ideally pay you what you should be getting paid, because they can get a grant that helps offset their costs.
Cassandra had mentioned it, I was just not, I just
Yeah.
want to be clear.
Yeah, no, it's a great, like, concrete example.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, and your main job as the artist is to make sure your profile on CreativeGround is Nest eligible.
Okay.
That's the thing. So the CreativeGround presentation will be key.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great segue. But the other thing that I thought was interesting, and I know other artists do this for grant applications, is because the application questions are available on the NEFA website, you can approach a presenter with like the information about the grant and your Creative Ground profile as the artist.
Right.
And then they're the ones who, sort of submit it and make sure that all the criteria are met. But you really can sort of set the grant application up for success and really partner with the presenter and not like sort of wait for them to initiate.
Right. And as an artist, once you are Nest eligible on CreativeGround, that becomes a marketing tool for you. As you are approaching presenters, you can say, there might be grant funding. If you hire me, potentially you can get a grant. And I say potentially because they have to meet all these funding criteria we just laid out. But, and there's no guarantee of anything. But you can use it as a tool. Like it's something you can put it on your website, you can put it in marketing materials, you can just bring it up in conversation. And then you can also point the organization to us. So our contact info is here. As you can see, again, we are real people. We answer our phone, we answer our email. You can say there's a grant from NEFA, give them the program info, and then they can call us, and we will talk them through the program. So that's what we're here to do. Yeah, great question.
Any other questions, broader? Sure.
If a grant is rejected, can, for example, Bombyx resubmit a completely new application during the next cycle?
So if the grant's rejected, can you submit again? And the answer to that is yes. And again, it assumes you still have to fit the timeline and the criteria. But if those things are true, and this does happen, folks get declined one cycle and then they might come back the next. Because it's also, with any grant funding, it's all about the applicant pool that you're in. And that is the one thing we, even as the administrators, cannot predict. And so sometimes you get a really strong pool, sometimes you don't. Or I shouldn't say you don't, because it's always strong. Sometimes it's stronger than others. And if you are going to resubmit, you can get that feedback and make adjustments to your application. Any other questions? All right. Well, we'll be here.
I don't know if we're what? Yeah. We're gonna take a how long? Dance break. We're gonna take a dance break.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be dancing, but someone will. And I hope you enjoyed and that we hear from you soon.
Thank you all so
Thanks.
much.
Bye.
Excellent, we're back on. Pete is a magician. Woohoo! Yay! Thank you all for being here and hanging out with us. I'm Dee. So if you have a CreativeGround profile, you probably get email from me. And most people are like, Dee, I see you in my inbox all the time. I'm going to encourage people from outside to come in if they want to. We will get started. So a few questions for you all initially. I'm Dee, as I mentioned. I'm the Senior Program Director for Creative Economy at NEFA. And CreativeGround is a free service of NEFA. So CreativeGround is, as you may or may not know, is a website, a searchable directory for all of the artists, arts and culture organizations, and creative businesses across all 6 New England states. Now, we did list the 6 New England states earlier, so I won't quiz you, but those and only those, not New York. Anyway, CreativeGround is the only regional directory in the US. It's a way for us to learn about you, but more importantly, for you all to get visibility for what you do, find connection in each other, and also share what you do to people who need to, I don't know, raise money, do advocacy, distribute resources around the region. So we work with partners. We're going to talk about that a little bit in a second. But that's just to sort of ground us in the many basic purposes of CreativeGround. We are artists here, so we're going to focus on that lens, how you can use CreativeGround, how other folks might be using CreativeGround to find more about you. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about who's here. Would you raise a finger, a hand, some sort of way to indicate that you are a visual artist? Great. What about a performing artist? Great. What about a teaching artist? Yes, which crosses both, right? Other kinds of artists that I haven't mentioned that you would like to, some other way that you identify? Yes. Literary? Did you see? I was reading your mind. As you were saying writer, I was like, you're a literary artist. Yes. So that can sometimes cross categories, right? Like, where do I belong? Am I included? Yes, of course you are.
Arts nonprofit.
Yes, so nonprofit as well. And many artists wear multiple hats, right? So we knew that in any sort of workshop that we do, we might have folks from a lot of different sort of perspectives and wear many different hats. Yeah. Presenters, great. So you mean like an art center? Great. Perfect. So when we have different sort of perspectives on this searching, so we're going to talk about how to connect. So we're connecting in real life, which is so nice. But we're going to do that online as well. Yes? I'm sorry? The government count. Yes. So, yes. Especially as partners, like we were talking about before, right? So, at its basic level, CreativeGround, like I mentioned, is this searchable directory. We want to give visibility to all the work that you're doing. Most importantly, we want everyone to be able to connect with Creative New England. You, as an artist, can have a profile as an arts nonprofit, as a government agency, especially a department that focuses on arts and culture. So the two main sort of priorities of CreativeGround are searching, which is really what you can do just right by keyword as soon as you get on the home page. I'm just going to quickly scroll down the home page here. These are sort of the three main categories that people start their searches. Either by keyword, this might be a topic that you're interested in, a subject that you want to find partners around, climate change, social justice, downtown something, Murals, it could be anything, right? So any kind of keyword, this is like a Google thing. Then this is our list of profile types. We have a lot of different types of profiles in CreativeGround. I'm going to show you a profile, then we're going to do some searches. But this gives you a sense of it's not just an artist directory, it's also for all these different types of entities. So you might be looking for a fair or festival who might hire you. You might be looking for a gallery to show your work. Healthcare facilities are in here as well because they have arts and culture programs. So this is just a very big, broad list. The search gives some different categories. You might want to search by an activity that someone does. Arts instruction or lessons is a very typical one that people have. Consulting, commissions, cultural preservation, right? Lots of different things. And of course, the 6 New England states, right? So I show you that just as sort of the very basic things to start your wheels turning. All of the information on a profile is searchable. So as you notice, we spotlight different profiles every quarter at the top, show the breadth of different types of entities. But you'll notice that there are images. We have some testimonials here for how different folks use CreativeGround. We alternate those as well. And then we usually do share some sort of guided searches, encouraging people to explore the different types of profiles in CreativeGround. So we'll rotate these. Right now we're featuring cultural heritage organizations. So these are all types of entities that might want to partner with you, you might want to work with. Libraries, of course, are a very important partner within all of our communities. They are within the creative economy. They are important entities in themselves, but they also hire artists. So you can find libraries, and this is sort of a way for libraries should use CreativeGround. Right now, we're running a campaign where anyone can sort of suggest edits on profiles. I'll get to that in a second. And we do blogs where we go deeper with particular profiles. We provide monthly support, virtual webinars, if you need help either for searching or for updating your profile. And then we try to show some of the different sort of pieces of information that you might learn from the profiles in CreativeGround. Importantly, these are our partners. I want to give a big shout out to Arts Hub because in Western Mass, they are, and I'll show it here really quickly, they basically pull in the profiles for Western Mass from CreativeGround into the Arts Hub website. And then they also list opportunities, events, jobs. So they're really kind of taking this big regional directory of CreativeGround and localizing it. And for you, you have one profile on CreativeGround, and then it will automatically show up on the Arts Hub website. So we've really worked with them to streamline the effort on everyone's part. They don't have to create a separate directory, and you don't have to create a separate profile. But what is the profile? So I've just narrowed down, I've just gone to the little search here, and I've scrolled down to location. And selected Massachusetts and put in Hampshire County. So these are all the profiles that we have in Massachusetts for Hampshire County. And something I want to make sure people know is that, as we've mentioned, there are all these different types of profiles. So I haven't narrowed down anything else. I haven't narrowed down by discipline. I haven't narrowed down by whether it's an organization or an artist. And I also, one way that I could narrow down, since we were talking about NEST earlier, is the special designation of NEST eligible artists. So what this means is in this little tooltip here, this little information tooltip, it describes what that special designation is. It's a touring artist that's been vetted by NEFA as eligible for support through the NEST grant. So the grant that Adrian and Audrey was just talking about, and they said, as the artist, you have to have an up-to-date NEST eligible profile on CreativeGround. This is how people will find you as a NEST eligible artist. So I'm going to just click on that checkbox. We have 32. And these are some of the profiles that you can even look at if you want to see how they've filled out those profiles. We're going to look at one. I think Tim has some. So this is what a profile looks like. It's the same format for an individual, for an organization. We try to make it as straightforward as possible. It starts with what type of profile you are. In this case, Tim works with some other folks. This is listed as a performing group. Has the state at the top, the last time it was updated. And then this is basically your opportunity to give a description of your work. You want to use keywords that someone might use to search for you. So you can put in things like, people you've worked with and awards that you've received or anything that, sort of press. But what's really important is to talk about the kind of work that you do. If I'm going to do a keyword search for punk or American folk song or folk music, then this is the content that would sort of, I'd be accessing in my search. Very importantly, at the very top of every profile are the buttons to contact this profile. So you can contact organizations, they can contact you right through CreativeGround. It's going to send you an email for the address that you basically listed on the backside of the profile as the email address that you want all these contact emails to go to. Anyone can suggest an edit on a profile, even if you don't own it. And if you do find a profile for an organization, let's say, and you're on staff or board of that organization, and you want to claim it so that you can update it directly, that's this yellow button. Importantly, you can share any profile. You can email it directly. You can post it on Twitter, well, X, whatever it's called now. We haven't changed the icon, and Facebook. And you'll notice that I don't even know, because this is a Mac, I don't know how to show the URL. That is unique. There it is. Nope, it's not showing it. Okay, I don't know how to show it, because this is not my computer. But the URL for Tim's profile is unique. It's like creativeground.org/profile-Tim Erickson, right? So you can put that on a business card. You can put that in your email signature. You can send it to people as your online portfolio and in lieu of a website. We have a lot of artists who are using their CreativeGround profile in lieu of a website because there's all these different sections. Your contact information, you can link to your social media if you want. You can add additional content for things that are not visual. You can basically fill out all the information that will then be searchable. The disciplines that you work in, the activities and services that you do, the communities you work with, and very importantly is a media gallery where you can upload up to 10 videos and images so that people get a sense of your work. And they can play it, they can view it right in the gallery, right on your profile. So I can scroll through, I can play videos right in here. And it's, as Adrienne and Audrey were saying, when a grant panel is reviewing a grant application from a presenter presenting you as an artist, this is work samples for the artist. It's a very easy, straightforward format. And as someone who serves on grant panels, I can tell you it's really nice when you're reviewing information for a grant application, and when additional information is provided, it's just a link directly to a CreativeGround profile. It's very reliable. I know exactly where everything's going to be. It's very easy to find the information. So that's the gallery. The next section is the I have worked with section. Adrienne and Audrey alluded to this before as well. This is where you put in your top 25 relationships. Those could be commissions. Those could be performances. Those could be partnerships. Those could be teaching gigs. They can be anything that you consider in your top 25. Now, for NEST eligibility, they want to see recency. They want to see the relationships within the past year, at least 5 of them. But you have 25 slots here. So they can be within New England and at an organization that also has a profile. So you can see that you can also click on the link and go directly to those profiles. Or as we say here, these relationships don't have to be within New England. You know, if you get into the Venice Biennial, then you should put that in, right? So anything that you consider sort of in your top 25. And then you can put in your awards and your special designations, including if you're a NEFA grant recipient that we mentioned. And then these sections are just for artists. This is the teaching artist section, where anyone who might be hiring you to do educational programming, a lot of libraries use CreativeGround, especially in Massachusetts. And this is where we tend to point them to, or schools, because they're looking for folks who not only can do an engagement, but also can really do sort of educational programming, training, work with community members, a wide range of ages and a wide range of settings. And then this touring artist section is where it shows that you're a NEST-eligible artist and where you have the required fields to fill in to become a NEST-eligible artist, like your fee range, like we mentioned, your number of performers, your technical requirements. So that's kind of a somewhat typical artist profile. I'm going to go back to the search results, maybe. So this was for all of Hampshire County. I'm going to pause for a quick second and ask if there were questions on sort of what you saw on the profile. Fairly straightforward. So any of those features or the information that was on the profile, as you can see, are searchable. So you choose your institution and business type. I'm going to clear the NEST eligible artists, because now you might be an artist looking for organizations. So if you are looking for a presenter and you want to apply to NEST, then you're going to look in every other state but Massachusetts, right? Because it's about crossing sort of those state lines. So I'm going to clear the search. I'm going to go down to location. And as you can see, you can choose multiple states. And then I can go to the institution business type and look for profiles that distribute. So these are creative entities that distribute. They basically hire artists. As you can see when I click on it, there's a lot of different categories. This is where you have your art centers, your cultural series, fairs and festivals, galleries, libraries. So here's where you can start to look for folks who might want to hire you for a program and then apply to NEFA for the NEST grant. So your role as an artist is to be NEST eligible. The presenter, the presenting organization, the nonprofit, they're the ones who apply to NEFA to sort of subsidize your artist fee to bring you to their different New England state. Question?
If I do a search and I find the results that I'm looking for, is there a way to aggregate those results? Can I save searches and go back to them?
Not yet in the platform itself. What you can do is bookmark your search results, because again, it's not showing my URL, but it is a unique URL. So you can kind of bookmark this in your browser as a URL that you can come back to, over time. You can even bookmark a single profile. We know people do that, kind of create, or like pull the link for certain profiles and then contact people and then sort of check them off their list. It's on our wish list to have the save thing. So it's like people use the browser as kind of a workaround at the moment. But yeah, I agree. Let's see. I wanted to show the back end of the profile a little bit as well. Just keeping an eye on time. Yeah, partnerships. So let's go back to those partners. Well, actually, I should say There's a lot of information about the site as well. Wanted to make sure we kind of talk about how to search, all the different ways to search. I can do, sort of keywords here, like we talked about for potential partnerships. You can look up, these are organizations because they're profiles that distribute, but if we know that a lot of artists are also looking for each other to collaborate on projects, so you can look for artists based on a particular discipline or a keyword. Are there any questions about search and kind of what you might, are there notions or ideas or things that you want me to try in terms of a search, like, can I find this? Any questions about that? You just want to get in there and play. I understand. I know. Beware. It's a very, very fun series of rabbit holes, a rabbit warren, if you will. It's fun, I will say. This is how you learn about a lot of organizations, a lot of artists, both local and beyond. So, partnerships, really important, as Cassandra was referring to. There's a lot more information about sort of the background of CreativeGround, why we do it. As I mentioned, it's really for those visibility, connection, and information mission. And bless you. And kind of what we do with the data, and the importance of really having a platform that is free, that not only gives visibility and connection to our creative community, but also collects data about it. So this is a visible platform for your state arts agency to use as its arts directory. It also uses this as its sort of asset map of Massachusetts. I don't know if any of you know, but the Mass Cultural Council just did a big sort of research project to really investigate what all the sort of creative assets were across the Commonwealth. Many of our states have done this, really to know who's out there in order to do more advocacy, to raise more money, to distribute more resources, right? So that's the primary, a sort of primary goal for CreativeGround. In New England, they don't have to start from scratch to create that list. So they started with CreativeGround and then also looked at some other entities that maybe are not yet listed in CreativeGround. And we're working with Mass Cultural Council to make sure that everyone is really represented in CreativeGround and that they really have visibility. A little saying I have is that resources flow to what is known. If you're not on the list, then funders don't know about you. Potential funders don't know about you. And our state advocates really use the data, not only in CreativeGround, but also financial data, other types of data, for advocacy purposes, right? They can go to a local legislator and tell them look at all the arts, the creative assets that are in your county, in your jurisdiction, in your district. These are people who who pay taxes, but also bring business to our community, who bring connection, make our places in Massachusetts where people want to live, work, and play, as the government likes to say, right? So it's really about sort of this, what we call sensing mechanism. If you're not telling us who you are and what you do, then folks won't know what you're doing and know to sort of advocate on all of our behalf and really understand what your needs are. It's, ideally kind of this very direct way for you to share your work. Most research that's done for advocacy is very removed. It's like at the county level, artists are really missing from that data. That's why our region is so unique to have a database like CreativeGround, because you get to say what you do. You get to create the profile yourself and let us know. And if you're an organization, you get to claim the profile and update it. And as someone who's worked with the data for a long time, when it doesn't come from the ground, it's really not accurate. Not only is it, sort of incomplete, but it's really not accurate. So part of what we do is sort of collect that information, make sure you're getting the visibility to connect with each other, but also kind of using it on the back end as a more of a research and advocacy database, if that makes sense. Any questions about that, or like how we use the data or privacy or anything like that? I just want to make sure I address concerns. Yeah.
A lot of times, like as an artist, it's keeping things current.
Mm-hmm.
And do you kick things out after they're there for too long?
Yeah, so what we've started to do, if you're an active entity, we really want to keep counting you. But something that you'll notice on the search page is that we sort by what's called profile score. This is a private profile score. I'm actually going to show you very quickly on the sort of get listed page. So I'm going to log in very quickly. So we encourage everyone to update your profile every 6 months. And the system will automatically send you an email reminder now. We send lots of other reminders. We send an e-blast about every month, every other month, with lots of tips. We do tips on social media. We're on Instagram. You can follow us. But we do encourage everyone to update their profile every 6 months. Once you create a profile, you can then just log in and easily manage it, and you'll see it's a private profile score. You'll always see what your profile score is, and as you edit your profile, there's always a link at the top to our profile tips page, which is going to give you guidance on how to increase your profile score. And a high profile score is available to everyone. It's really just about having a robust profile. It gives you tips on what to fill in each section, basically kind of like what I've been sharing as going through a profile, but in a self-paced way. We also have lots of videos for each section of the profile if you like to look at things that way. The back of the handouts that we just handed out has a sample profile with some tips on it. So we try to provide a lot of support so that you can keep it up to date. I know that the sort of ROI, the return on that investment, what we hope is that if you update it in CreativeGround, then you're automatically updating it for Mass Cultural Council, you're automatically updating it for the Arts Hub website, you're automatically updating it for any other partnerships we have. We have more and more all the time. So, it's kind of a central place, and especially if you're using it sort of in lieu of your website. But this is kind of the back-end sort of update piece. Did I answer your question? I want to just talk a little bit more about sort of updating it. Great. I think we're winding down, right? And I want to make sure we have time for Hannah. Yes. This is right? Hannah is now or at 8:15? Now. It's about 8. More minutes. Okay. And then, yeah. So we walk you through the form. It's pretty straightforward. The basic required information, you really shouldn't have to necessarily go back and update all the time. It's sort of just the basic information. But then there are the additional sections, like the tour. It's going to prompt you to save all the time. It's better that it prompts you to save than you lose your work. I'm just saying. Give it a second. Okay. So then this is the artist-only section where you should fill out if you are a Native American artist, if you're a teaching artist or a touring artist. This is where those fields were for the NEST eligibility that you saw earlier. This is where you want to put in your, I have to uncheck it because it's, see, I have those required fields. This is where you're going to upload your images and your videos. And of course, if you need technical help with any of this, we have someone here who can help you. So we're going to have Hannah share with that with you in a second. But this is where you upload your video links or your images, your social media handles, if you have them, that additional content, like if you want to link to your publications, as long as they're hosted online, or sound files, anything that's not sort of visual content, you can just link to there. This is where you do the I have worked with relationships. You basically look up the profiles. So you just want to go through each section in the little menu on the left sidebar. It's, some of it you might have questions. We also have lots of sort of help text along the way. If you're an organization or an individual and you have venue that you want to sort of advertise as being for rent or use, you can add a venue, like, if Bombyx sort of rents out like any of their beautiful spaces, they have them listed on their profile. So that's just sort of the form. It walks you through how to do everything throughout. It'll help you kind of put in alt text, which is for people who use screen readers for websites. So you want to put in a description of any image that you upload. That is required. Photo credit is also required. We take all kinds of accessibility very seriously on CreativeGround. So if you find that anything is not accessible to you, or if you want to use CreativeGround on your phone or in different formats, please let us know. I'm going to close with that, which is this Dig In Resources section, which is where all the FAQs are here, that profile tips page, lots of different guides of how you can use CreativeGround for all the different hats that you wear. Recordings, as I mentioned. Very importantly, when you update your profile and you have a top profile score, then you should nominate it to be in the spotlight on the homepage. We're always collecting nominations, or if you see some amazing profiles, please let us know. Part of this sort of grassroots effort around CreativeGround and to keep it free is that we do ask, sort of partners and everyone to really activate your own network. You can, like we said, link the URLs to your profile and tell other folks to create profiles as well. If there are organizations that you work with or artists who you know, we have a whole toolkit for, how you can sort of share CreativeGround and keep it sort of as a free resource, but really accessible and including as many different creative resources in our community as possible so that we can all sort of connect and find each other. That's really the key. And I encourage you to search and contact profiles, really reach out to people. It's been sort of easy in the last couple of years, especially to retreat into our little corners, our little home offices, and people really do appreciate connecting, however that introduction first initially happens. So I thought the contact us was in there, but I'm going to actually end with that. Sorry. So this is how to connect with us. You can contact us anytime, and we also our people answer our phones and our emails. We do workshops, virtual workshops all the time, sort of profile polishing, search polishing, and I think that's everything. Any final questions? Lots to dig into. Great. Awesome. Thank you.
I think it's just in the other tab. And it is. We're going to do that. Hello, everyone. I am here to wrap us up this evening. I am Hannah Cox. I'm the digital navigator at Northampton Open Media. We are Northampton's public access television station, and we air the government meetings. But tonight I'm here as a resource to everyone here. We just learned about NEFA and CreativeGrounds and how NOM, which is the abbreviation for Northampton Open Media, how we can help you with community tech support. Oh, does this go? This is not how it's normally set up. Whoops. Oh, Lord. Peter.
Did you want the slideshow?
Yeah.
So we got to go to Keynote.
Oh, you're in Keynote.
So I think that's where we had it. So we had you right at the end here. And there we go. Okay.
So what I provide is drop-in tech help. And obviously, I just got tech help from Peter, but that's okay. We all need tech help. This is not my computer. At NOM, no question is a stupid question, so you are welcome to come in with your phone, your laptop, your tablet, your hearing aids, and I am here, me, to help you with your devices and to navigate that. And our goal is digital equity, meaning we are helping you access technology, we're teaching you, and if you need it, we can help guide you through ways to get affordable internet or a hotspot to connect you so that you're able to use the technology that you have. And we do this through drop-in tech help hours. So these are our most up-to-date hours, and this is where you will find me. Mondays, I'm at Forbes. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm at the Northampton Open Media office on Hawley Street. And on Fridays, if you're 60 plus, I am at the Senior Center, and that's by appointment only. And the way this is designed is that, except at the Senior Center, it's on a drop-in basis. And so you're welcome to come in, and I can help you create that CreativeGrounds profile, or help you upload a photo, or maybe your photo's in the wrong format, and we can make it a JPEG or whatever it needs to be. And so this is a free resource. This is on a weekly basis, and it's here to help you. And another thing, because we have a room full of artists, is we have equipment for rental. So part of the CreativeGround site is you're able to upload videos. And so if you're a member of Northampton Open Media, which is free, you are able to rent out camera equipment. And I just turned it off. You're able to rent camera equipment to film your performance, and you're able to photograph your pottery, and you're able to make stop motion animation videos where you could record a podcast using our microphone. And if you don't know how to do any of those things, we have classes to teach you how to do those things, because we want to put these cameras and mics in your hands and give you the tools to create these things on your own. So this is another resource we have that can contribute to you as an artist and sharing your work. If you want updates on future classes, we host classes and photo workshops and video clubs and classes on how to use your iPhone. This is a QR code you can scan. There's information in the back on a physical handout if you need it to be physical, on how to contact us, how to find us. We are at 33 Hawley Street in Northampton, around the corner from Main Street by the bridge. So thank you, and I hope to help some of you creative people with your profiles, and thank you to Cassandra and Bombyx for bringing us all together. Thank you.